I hope you're enjoying what you hear, and thank you very much for listening. I do apologise for the build-up to the news there. We had a few technical problems which we were trying to resolve, but we sorted it. We got it there in the end, and we got up to the news just in time, in the nick of time, as they say. So what have we got coming up for you in this hour? Well, we've just got Mari Wilson there with just what I always wanted. In a moment, I'll be speaking to Scott from SSAFA, and then around about 11:30, we've got Janice James coming in from the Good Egg Company. All to do with children's safety, but more about that a bit later on. And of course, during this hour, we're going through the decades, and today it's the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s, and we'll be looking at what's on our televisions tonight and what's going on in our local cinemas a bit later on. But first of all, it's that man from Scott from SSAFA. Good morning, Scott.
Good morning, Mr. B. How you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. And you?
Yeah, good. I'm good. The sun is hopefully forthcoming in the next month by the time I see you again.
I was going to say next month, yeah.
We all hope, I'm sure.
Scott, just a quick recap for everybody. What is SSAFA?
So we are the Soldiers, Sailors, and Airmen Families Association charity that looks after veterans and their immediate families all over the UK. We've been doing this for this year, actually. I think it's next month, 140 years. So we have plenty of celebrations as well to recognize and, celebrate that legacy.
You don't look a day over 30.
It keeps you young, the work.
It does. And this is all sort of volunteer work, isn't it? Basically.
It is. My team and I, based in Northampton, are responsible for East Midlands. There's about 10 to 20 of us, and we are all unpaid, and take on this work on an ad hoc but regular basis every single week, and it's a hugely collaborative effort, raising money for not just awareness but for good causes for veterans everywhere.
And what sort of help can you give veterans?
Sure. So we can help with anything from the transition from military to civilian life, of course, to, believe it or not, going into invidious venues like prisons and, custody venues where veterans might unfortunately find themselves, helping arrange for, legal representation, but more commonly with housing if they're homeless, or setting up their benefits packs, etc., for the local council, getting them emergency and crisis related resources, depending on the exigency, pretty much anything you can think of.
And is it mainly monetary support, or is there other types of support as well?
We have like psychosocial and emotional well-being support, as well as the financial and like strategic, holistic lifestyle support. Like I mentioned, helping sign up for, things like, say, just as an example, pension credit, and, all the entitlements that veterans should be receiving in this country after their service.
You see, it's very difficult because somebody who's been in the service since a boy, I joined when I was 17.
Right.
But I know people who joined when they were that sort of age, and
Sure.
they stayed there up until about 55. So they've never really known any other
Of course.
life. And of course, you're actually, I'm not saying you're treated like children, but you're told what to do,
Of course.
when to do it. And if you were single, you were told when to eat as well.
Yeah.
Because you lived in the barracks.
Absolutely. There's almost like a degree of, for lack of a better term, institutionalization, but I would say in a good sense. As you know, I was in the fire brigade myself, but certainly not the length of career that you spent, and thank you for your service and everybody else, as I always like to say. But it's a difficult egress, you could say, to go from that extremely regimented lifestyle to none of it overnight. I suppose it's almost like winning the lottery. You go from having a negative overdraft to winning the next day and not knowing what to do with all this new information, and stuff. So.
Yeah, I mean that's why there are a lot of ex-forces personnel who are homeless.
Unfortunately.
A lot of ex-forces personnel go into the prison service or the police service.
Of course.
Because it's this regimented thing, and they get to put. I know it sounds lightheartedly, but they get to put on a uniform.
Absolutely.
And again, that is, you're being told what to wear.
I think some of us are, more suited to that sort of disciplined lifestyle than others. Especially, unfortunately, in the growing trends that we see today in society, where very few people, unfortunately, have interest in that sort of sense of civic duty, sadly. But I believe that part and parcel of that civic duty, of course, is to recognize those who have volunteered to take up arms to defend the freedom for this great country and, the West in general, which is why I joined SSAFA, so that veterans, their families will always have somebody, like me and all of my friends, and managers to support them.
And it's even more paramount in what I would deem peacetime, because look what's going on in the world at the moment.
Absolutely.
And that could boil over at any time.
Indeed. It seems like, depending on which news channel you watch, absolutely, there's a flashpoint, in almost any part of the world at any given moment, sadly.
Right, back to the topic of SSAFA. I noticed you got your phone out, so you've obviously got a couple of things that you want to tell us about.
So, I mentioned the 140th anniversary, which is a pretty, major milestone for us, having started all the way back in 1885. The best way to find out about the events that we will be attending or putting on is by Googling SSAFA, SSAFA Northampton, and you'll come across a link to our Facebook page, which is the easiest way to find out our diary and roster of events. And if you're a veteran or a family member of a veteran and you need help, the easiest way is to call us. The easiest way to get in touch with us is to call us on 0800 260 6780. Again, 0800 260 6780. Or you can, of course, send us messages through our website, www.ssafa.org.uk.
Thanks.
Great. Thank you very much.
See you next month.
Yes, see you next month.
This is NLiveRadio. A healthy workforce is a productive workforce. That's why West Northants Council are inviting local businesses to sign up for our free cardiovascular disease workplace health checks. If your business has 35 or more employees aged 30 or over, we'll come into your workplace to conduct free health checks for all your staff. This national pilot scheme runs until the end of March, so register your interest today. Just search Free NHS Health Checks West Northants.
A man gets up from his advertised bed, steps onto his advertised carpet, and goes to his advertised bathroom. He washes his face with his advertised soap and cleans his teeth with his advertised toothpaste. He puts on his advertised clothes